Okay, everyone take a moment to get off your requisite joke about how it's funny that Hawkeye is still just some guy with a bow and arrow, the superhero who's not even his own favorite Avenger.
Okay, look, the city's flying. We're fighting an army of robots. And I have a bow and arrow. None of this makes sense.
And now take a second moment to realize that Marvel movies have been doing low-key versions of that gag in their own subtext or the text of just about everything they've ever put Hawkeye in since he first showed up, while also gently subverting everything you'd expect about his character while letting Jeremy Renner play the part otherwise completely straight as the most normal person in a mega franchise full of larger-than-life action figures, joke tellers, and spectacle generators, and wow, what a shock, they methodically underdogged him right into being a character audiences really like. Just ask them. Almost like it was on purpose all along. What, really? The laconic normal guy with the universally cool Robin Hood weapon that plays the great straight man to every other character, and therefore has a bunch of great scenes in every one of these movies, and is always one of the most relatable guys the movie can cut back to when it needs a reliably recentering of the emotional physical stakes of scenes for the audiences, is actually really popular, well-liked, and relatable. Boy, it was sure smart to cast that guy who had bankable mainstay character actor, likely to have his own TV show practically stamped on his forehead when he first showed up, huh? And now, hey, here's that show in which Marvel revisits the one genuine narrative masterstroke from Age of Ultron, i.e. having paid off Hawkeye's seeming who the hell is this mysterious badass persona as the non-powered weapons master among the super gods, who could also maybe apparently have Black Widow for the asking, but just hasn't for whatever reason, by revealing, hey, he's actually the most normal fucking guy on Earth with just a regular wife and kids. Hey, how about that? By throwing him into an MCU Disney Plus version of a Christmas movie about a hapless dad with maybe too much on his plate trying to desperately finish up work in the big city so he can get home for the holidays. And there's even a cute kid sidekick, a dog who loves pizza, and some 80s style cops and robbers stuff to remind everybody of their favorite Die Hard and Shane Black movies, also set at Christmas time. Jeez, they're good at this stuff. Anyway, the actual storyline will presumably become both more complicated, but also achieve greater clarity as the rest of it plays out. Like everyone else, critics were only allowed to see the first 2 episodes so far. We just got to see them a week or so earlier. But for now, the setup is basically a crime caper that happens to involve the lower-powered tier of the Avengers during the holidays. It's Christmas in New York, and Clint Barton, aka Hawkeye, is just about to head home to do the gifts and relaxation thing with the fam when frustrating criminal things break out in the city underworld requiring his attention. Not so much in the only I can handle this sense, because it's Hawkeye, but in a this is partially my mess sense. Short version, you may remember that during the 5-year half the universe is dead period between the last 2 Avengers movies, Clint had himself a psychotic break and went on a vigilante killing spree through the global criminal underworld in mourning for his snapped away and since resurrected family, disguised as the masked ninja swordsman Ronin, a digression of character which we can now infer the Avengers helped make disappear from his permanent record. However, through a series of mishaps, the still very recognizable Ronin costume and weapons have now found their way onto the streets thanks in part to Hailee Steinfeld's Kate Bishop, an heiress and wannabe crime-fighting adventurer who stumbled upon and briefly donned the Ronin uniform long enough to make the evening news while trying to expose the suspected criminal dealings of her mother's shady new fiancé, Jacques Duquesne, whom the Marvel fan in your life is surely very excited to inform you is either in actuality or soon to become the Swordsman. As it happens, Kate is also the world's #1 Hawkeye fangirl, herself a master archer and expert martial artist dedicated to her disciplines after her and her mother's lives were saved during the Battle of New York in 2012, specifically by Hawkeye moments before his iconic roof jump scene. So for those of you keeping track, we are now 2 for 2 on second-generation young people role model superheroes in the MCU, whose meta-origin story is literally Marvel heroes made a defining impression on my life as a kid, so now I need them to mentor me to fulfill my dream of becoming a soldier in the Disney corporate, an Avenger. Yeah, don't have to like it to acknowledge that it is, and that they are, again, really scary good at this. Kate, of course, eventually becomes the inheritor of the Hawkeye mantle in the comics. Whether or not that's the plan here or for the brand long-term remains to be seen. The series so far is actually split pretty admirably between the 2 main characters' perspectives, with Steinfeld's storyline driving the here's what's going on aspect and Renner serving as the reactive, oh come on, this is what we're doing grumpy foil, who just wants to be done with this and go home, but also understands and will presumably have to face some tougher reckoning to come that most of this is happening due to the whole got sad and decided to kill hundreds of people to feel better about it period of his life. For now, it's clear that the 2 of them have a clever banter, and it's honestly refreshing that the exactly too old and sincerely happily married to be the romantic lead of anything aspect of Barton's character is being leaned on so strongly that the dynamic is allowed to eschew either any hint of melodramatic tension between the 2 or the standard version of surrogate dad syndrome. Presumably some of that is incoming, how can it not given the torch-passing setup, but initially it's a clever bit of characterization instead. He takes her false bravado at face value, mostly to hurry through the interactions to the next objective. She in turn finds the lack of just a kid condescension encouraging and opts to chase his approval even more. It goes without saying they've both stumbled into something that's going to be bigger than either of them initially think it is, and that there's a nod in the direction of Clint still being torn up about Black Widow's death is obligatory, so I bet that's coming up one way or another. But so far it doesn't seem like there's anything earth-shaking in terms of Son of a bitch. Either way, though, it feels like 6 episodes isn't enough room for something that's aiming to be this briskly paced and fun to get bogged down in anything too complex even in this universe, but here's hoping it maintains the good-natured romp feel that's got so far, because even without the cinematic universe dressing, this is a winning combo of a series. The leads are fun, Vera Farmiga and Linda Cardellini turn in solid supporting turns, Steinfeld is instantly delightful and makes a perfect fit for the funny person who can also be a dramatic actress and handle action scenes mold of a Marvel heroine, and while it's not 100% clear that Tony Dalton's swordsman actually is the main antagonist of the series yet, his brief tease at the possibility as of episode 2 sets up a fun interpretation, and he's a good, shady jerk heavy so far in any case. Now this is light stuff with a light touch, perfect for this time of year, and as ever with a series that aren't fully screened beforehand, it feels wrong to put a real number on the review here, but I was into it. It's cool to see Renner get more room to play around in, and Steinfeld, like I said, is a terrific addition to the menagerie. I'm gonna stick around and look forward to seeing where this goes. Check it out.